Anyway, so 6 times the big white van came by and drove away over 8 hours, and then we got the call. They're not coming, Dennis. They can't. There's thousands of people in the streets protecting you right now, right? And that's when I knew we were going to win. Eventually, for sure, we were going to win. So Dennis called, gets there. We had these big bouncers and called everybody, wait. Makes it, 15 minutes later, 10 duffel bags of medicine come in the club because there wasn't a speck of pot in that club. Not one speck of pot in that club. Nothing. Bust on our asses. Okay, but you can't have the medicine, you fuckers. So, not 10 duffel bags, right? And then and he just gave it all away to everybody we could cram in that place. Everybody who stood with us for hours with their crutches and their wheelchairs and their walkers and their canes, shaking their canes at the white big truck, the paddy wagons, all day long. It was a wonderful thing. And that's when I knew for sure. That's when I knew for sure that we were protected by God. And it was very, very important that we keep working. And I also really knew in my mind it got more well. And I got this pretty good machine up here when it's running good. And so the more we worked, the more I got better. So after that, we started to lobby Sacramento. What do? We got to change the law. We got a little advice from City Hall because Dennis, he's hooked up. Well, we have the political process. We need a resolution. Well, how do we get these guys to wake up to the situation? We have a crisis in San Francisco, and what do? Dennis says, we got to do the dog and pony show. I hate this part. Well, he was part of the gay rights movement, too. He was an organizer for the gay rights movement in California. So they had to do the unfortunate dog and pony show. So what we did is we went to Sacramento, and we had an appointment with John Burton and with John Vasconcellos. And Mr. Vasconcellos was the first appointment. And we walked in with the most incredibly pitiful bunch of sick, broken up parts of people that were suffering without access to medical marijuana. And it was the only thing that helped. And just make you cry every single story. So I was the leader of the women's division. And Scotty had the men's division, Scott Imler, bless his heart. And then we had Dennis, who was very well connected. So our mission was to go in and make the senator cry. And once they cried, they'd vote for us. So we went door to door, tier by tier, and got a majority resolution to make medical marijuana law the lowest possible enforcement in the state of California, which is modeled upon the 1991 San Francisco Proposition P, which I worked on too. Lowest possible priority. I used that as a model and introduced the Marin County Medical Marijuana Ordinance, which was called the Law of Shaw, actually, for quite a while. From 1992, we were the second constituency to have a medical marijuana law that said it was the lowest possible priority for law enforcement to arrest sick people for medical marijuana in the county of Marin. So we had San Francisco, Marin, Santa Cruz had an initiative, and then they used the Marin County model and went in several other places around the state and went to the Board of Supervisors and they voted it in, wherever there was crisis points, So that was helpful. And they appointed me to be a officer of the court. So after 1992, when instead of putting my AIDS patients into jail for marijuana, they made me law enforcement for community service workers, and they would give them to me to work off their hours for being busted for marijuana from 1992 until 2/15/1996. So they didn't make them go to jail. They were actually busting sick people, terribly sick people, for marijuana and then making them pick up garbage for community service work. What do you mean you have an HIV positive person there picking up garbage? You want to kill them? Outrageous. So I'm still law enforcement, I've been an appointee of the court in the County of Marin. I'm an official of the court. I'm a supervisor, probation officer for community service workers, and if for petty criminals, I don't take traffic. Everybody wants those guys. And when 215 passed, oh good, I don't have to do community service work supervision anymore. You're not going to bust any of my people anymore, right? Well, we're not going to bust those guys anymore, but we really need your help, Lynnette. I said, why is that, sir? Well, you always give them a lecture, don't you? I go, well, yeah, unless they're marijuana people. Yeah, and you make them do their hours, right? Oh, yeah, they do their hours. We need you, Lynnette. So they give me 30, 40, 50 helpers a year to the courts that will, clean up garbage if they're a thief, or, do filing or move boxes or paint the place, so I still have lots of help, but I'm still actually law enforcement. So I joined LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And I was also able to go speak to the police on a different level because I am officially law enforcement. And they trust me because I do what I said I'm going to do. And I think I learned this from my father, who was an IRS federal agent, who was very strict. And but he always would do what he said he was going to do, include throw me out forever if I ever smoked a joint, which he did, and I did. Well, I did, and then he did. And then he signed 215, and everything was resolved, I guess. Hopefully that will happen too. The resolution has to be. So we went through all this, and resolution was vetoed. We got the resolution vetoed. Pete Wilson. We went to the senators, Vasconcellos and Burton, and we pushed through a Senate bill for medical marijuana, lowest possible enforcement in the state of California. Vetoed. We got the votes. Went to the assembly. Got tier by tier, door by door. Went to all, and also with the senators walking with us at this time, walking with us tier by tier. Got the votes in the assembly. Vetoed. Pete Wilson. At that point, we had one legal recourse in the state of California, the initiative process. So we had exhausted all other processes legally. So this made it not challengeable in a court of law because we had exhausted all other alternatives legally, legal remedies for our crisis situation. So then we went forward to the volunteer committee, and I have been working with Dennis on a daily basis for a couple of years at this point, and able to work and involved and engrossed in this, this crisis of people, and doing protests and getting people out of jail and bailing them out and pleading people, helping them and talking lawyers into helping this, because they were just harvesting these sick people like sitting ducks wholesale into jail. It's a money thing, and sick people. It was very, very bad. It was one of the heights of the worst of the drug war abuses against the sick. And it was the evidence was so damning that it really gave us a lot of public support when after we tried all this time and they were still busting sick people and causing them to suffer or die by taking away their medical marijuana, we really had the support of the public in many ways, all the way down the line. As frightening as it is to change law that is so convenient for the opposition to keep in place. I went to jail. I got beat up by police for marijuana. I was snitched out, and I went to jail, and all the women in there mostly were black and brown women, and then I was a hippie kind of girl, second-class citizens, I guess. And they were all in the 80% for drug charges of some type. And it was really quite an education. And I finally got my record expunged, thank God. But they were doing that to nice people like me and sick people. And it was just wholesale slaughter of whoever they wanted to pick on. And mostly that was the blacks, the browns, and the hippies. And a lot of us. They built 20 prisons in 20 years in California. No universities. They got one finally kind of half built. One university in 25 years and over 20 prisons.